Hi YouTube, Darth here. This is Over Your Shoulder, where I follow unsuspecting players and give what is usually unsolicited advice. This recording was from a few weeks back, but it was just so amazing that I couldn't pass up the chance to share it with you. Today I'm following Captain Planets, and he's certainly a helicopter hero looking at his stats. In fact, he's number 3 in the world for the Little Bird on PC. Because of that, I'm honestly not going to have a lot of advice for Captain Planets during this Over Your Shoulder, but I will call out all of the good things that he's doing that we can learn from. So let's take a look over Captain Planet's shoulder. As you can see, we're already in the helicopter. Let's take a look at what we got for the loadout. The 7.62 minigun, laser-guided rockets, a belt feeder, and ECM jammer. This is a pretty typical setup for a good scout helicopter pilot. Because this setup doesn't have any heat seekers on it, what I would probably do is have a buddy engineer of mine have a Stinger and be able to repair me at the same time. As it just so happens throughout this entire round, Captain Planets does have a buddy with him that does exactly that. You'll also see that he's running a support so he can throw ammo to his buddy and keep that on top of the chopper. Captain Planets just got first blood there. You can see that he's locking down that MAA so that nobody that he doesn't want to be in there is in there. That's probably a pretty dangerous move unless you're a pretty advanced pilot, because anybody that manages to get into that mobile anti-aircraft will just mulch you. And right now you see where those laser guideds are coming in handy. You can actually kill these RCB boats with the regular miniguns because they're not considered a fully armored target. Whenever I'm using the scout helicopter, I almost always use the miniguns because it gives me a distinct advantage against other scout helicopters. And other scout helicopters are pretty much your primary threat as a scout helicopter unless you have a jet pro on the other team. And you can see right here, the Captain Planets is also specifically working the back of this boat to make sure that if any gunners spawn on that, they're the first to die. At first thought, you might not think of it as an anti-aircraft platform, but in the right hands, a rib boat minigun and the attack boat miniguns can really devastate aircraft. Taking a look at the map, we can see that the Chinese team is pretty well in charge of this game, and that guy gets taken out and mulched completely with ease. Right now, Captain Planets is keeping an eye on the spawn points for Delta, as they do end up being in that forest about 9/10 of the time. Sometimes you get a couple out here, then they get mulched just like that. Captain Planets is really making those miniguns work for him, and if you can make the change from 25mm, I highly recommend doing it, because once you get good with the miniguns, they're just as effective. We have a lock-on coming from the enemy team's carrier, it looks like. Nothing really too much to worry about. Takes one out there, takes two out. As you can see, miniguns very effective once you get used to where they're shooting. And it looks like we have our first contender here. It looked like he was using 25mm, and he just gets completely devastated. And as you can see in the third person, Captain Planets has got dual reps going for him, and at least one of those engineers was firing a Stinger, so that scout helicopter really had no chance, and these parachuters are just going to be picked off completely and utterly. Another one spawned. I don't think he has a chance. He is done. Almost got that Stinger off, but great timing with the ECM. One thing you have to be aware of when you're in the scout helicopter or any helicopter are the engineers below and around you, because at any time if you fly over them, you pretty much give them the easiest shot possible at your underbelly. So it's really important to stay mobile, and you'll notice how he did sort of that arcing motion over top of them while he was coming down to get them. Planets finds a rib boat here. Easy pickings, manages to take him out. No gunner in that rib boat, nothing to worry about. Probably going to mulch all three of these enemies. One down. Oh, manages to get taken out just like that with the RPG. As I said, the slow motion got him. Unsurprisingly, he has the respawn location of the helicopter memorized, and he was waiting for it for about the last 60 seconds. So I got that bit out, but here we go again. So the Chinese team is up by only about 150 points, but they have literally every flag on the map, so this is probably bad news for the US team. And almost took out that F-35 there. Didn't quite get the line he needed on it. So it looks like he's flying a little bit low here, but I suspect that he's actually flying in third person at that spot, and it looks like we have an RCB coming in, and it just gets toasted. Holy cow. It probably did not have a lot of health to begin with, and cuts that guy down to size without a problem at all. Right now, Captain Planets is making it rain. Looks like we got our eyes on Alpha and all the guys there. Taking a look at the rib boat, takes out one guy, sees another in the water, pops that ECM with the quickness, takes out 3 guys, 4 guys. 5 guys. Burgers and fries. Almost gets that missile on him again. Might be in trouble if he gets a series of locks here. That is a friendly, so nothing to worry about there. Saw 2 missiles. This is probably where I would actually be backing off a bit, because I know there's such a cloud of engineers over here at Alpha. But not Captain Planets. He's going in. As you can see, he waited for the ECM, which was probably a smart move. Might be a little bit dangerous here with as many direct projectile engineers that we saw earlier. It takes 3 out like it ain't nothing. And this is really the power of the Little Bird, because once you have those cannons, the miniguns dialed in, you can just completely wreck everybody just the same as 25 millimeters, and it becomes a lot easier to sort of get those specific targets down a lot quicker. And it certainly helps a lot when you have a pro like this who has 2 repairs, or at least 1. Now, if you're the repair guy in this case, what I would probably do is run with something that you can manage to hit these guys on the ground with, while also running with the torch and the stinger, and preferably the field repair upgrade. Scout helicopters don't quite heal as fast as other vehicles in the game, but at the same time they're very resilient with 1 or 2 repairs. Taking a look at the tabletop, we can see that there pretty much is no chance for the US team right now. They're down by about 200 points, and they are down by 4 flags to 1. So there's pretty much a good idea what's going to happen in this map, especially with this pro on it. Now, if I were on the enemy team, what I would be doing is getting into that F-35, get a couple of probably active radar missiles going, and then just do top-down attack after top-down attack on this scout helicopter. When you have a pro helicopter pilot like this, you don't want to face him head-on, and you definitely don't want to give him a chance to shoot you down. Looks like Captain Planets is getting a lot of small arms or possibly rib fire right now. Manages to almost take that right there. Might be in trouble here if his ECM runs out and he can't get behind something if he gets a stream of lock-ons. One thing in a helicopter you don't want to happen to you is to get caught out in the open and not have your countermeasures up. Unlike a jet, you can't get away from the Stinger threat because they can just continuously fire rocket after rocket after rocket at you, and it pretty much means you're doomed. That guy tried to get away, but he had no idea how screwed he was. Rocket to the face might be a little bit too close to the water here. Yep, goes into the drink, and we'll see what we do on foot. Points currently controlled by the US team. It looks like we have a Magnum trying to get a few shots off at the enemy, just doesn't manage to come up with anything. No surprises here, we're back in the Little Bird, and it looks like the American team has 2 flags now. Comeback time? Probably not. Captain Planets is staying on top of it, though, and we can see that there are a bunch of enemies here. Manages to take out a couple among the trees. Usually the spawn points for Delta are inside the trees. There are a couple on the other side of the island, like I said. Just completely racking up the kills here, one after another after another. I half wonder if some of those guys had actually taken some damage first, and that's why we're taking them out. But he could just be that good, too. We can see one last enemy here, about to get taken out, and he is gone. Must have been another one in there. Looks like he got taken out by the other scout helicopter. Gray matter got splattered everywhere there. Now, as this round goes on, I suspect we're probably going to see him use just about every Little Bird or scout helicopter trick in the book, and one that you may not be aware of is that if you turn your scout helicopter to a 90-degree angle to where the rockets are being fired at you, specifically Stingers, you can often manage to dodge them. And that's even if you do not have your countermeasures up. That's a simplification of what's going on, and it takes quite a bit of practice to pull it off, but I guarantee you that there are pilots out there that are pretty good at it, and this is one of them. Again, looks like we're checking out the respawn trees. Taking a little bit of fire from who knows where. Definitely get the lock-ons going. Looks like we have a scout helicopter trying to hunt us down currently. Doesn't look like there's much to help that scout helicopter out right now. Yep, there we go, and he is gone. So if you have a scout helicopter wrecking you on this map, something you can do is do the Levolution and have the ship come in here at Charlie. The gun on that ship will attack any air target that's spotted, and oh, whoa, big mistake there by a fellow pilot. I'm sure Captain Planets wasn't happy about that. Taking a look at the tabletop, situation hasn't changed much. About a 400-point gulf between the US and Chinese teams right now. That's not going to close anytime soon. American Little Bird's a little bit clueless here, going to get taken out pretty much with ease, and it's gone. Nothing too much to worry about in the middle of the map, except for maybe this rib boat starting to take a couple of pot shots at him. I don't know what that guy's plan was. And here we have another Little Bird paying absolutely no attention to what's going on. Rightfully gets rocked. Rib boat again, going to get both of them. Again, just completely aggressive play on the part of Captain Planets, and the enemy team is just sort of lining up for him here. Missed that earlier guided rocket. Going to try and get another one in. Looks like the engineer threw one out. We see 2 miniguns here. Manages to take out one. Might be in a bit of trouble here with the other minigun going, and it looks like some more attention on him, possibly from the spawn. Now we're in trouble. Let's see if we can pull out the repair. Not quite. Back in the saddle again, it looks like this round is pretty well over despite the fact that the Americans are pushing on that third point finally. Not much going on for them. We can see that they finally have the MAA. Actually manages to miss that because the MAA had a smoke screen on. The MAA gets out like an idiot and decides to try and make it here on foot. Yeah, that was probably the worst MAA driver ever. And as you can see, one of the co-pilots from the scout helicopter got out and went and took the MAA. Good job on him. While the Chinese team is pushing on Bravo, looking for a couple of respawns, takes out the tanks, hoping for a couple of easy kills. A little bit of fancy flying right here, and gets taken out again. Low and slow does not win the race. Not sure why here, but Captain Planets has decided to get out and finally go on foot. Looks like we're playing as an engineer with a SRAW. Might just be looking for a little bit of revenge against that rocket wielder there. Sees this guy over here, maybe a little bit too late, and gets countered by the guys that are already on Bravo. Might have also just spawned on the wrong squad mate as a possibility. As we see, he's back in the helicopter. So as we can see, he's definitely got a plan to be in the helicopter. This round has been pretty hopeless for the American team. It's opened up to about a 500 ticket lead for the Chinese team now, and it's really only going to get worse here, I suspect. Misses that rocket. Looks like it smashed into a wave, getting a number of good hits here. Again, targeting the rear of that particular RCB. And you can really see how all this consistent damage adds up with a little bit of help from a boat. And the minigunners on that boat and on this rib boat really just not effective enough to even make a dent on this helicopter. And Captain Planet's just completely outclassing any efforts by the enemy team to bring him down in other than a luck-based way. Almost gets killed there by another rocket, maybe a little bit cocky on his part. Again, the only thing that's really taking him down is when he's low and slow and manages to get taken out by a surprise engineer rocket. Again, this kind of risky behavior is not something I would recommend to you unless you are particularly good with the miniguns, and there is just a feast to be had here. Almost manages to take all those guys out. We saw that engineer and maybe got a little bit skittish. I do believe I saw a stinger on that engineer and not an actual straight rocket launcher, like a SMAW or an RPG. If you are going to turn a straight firing rocket launcher on a helicopter, I'd probably recommend using the SMAW just because it travels a little bit faster and straighter than the RPG. Looking for a last couple of those pickup kills, manages to get one. We see another boat off here in the distance that's probably just going to get punished, rocket after rocket, and then a couple of minigun shots into the aft. Yep, that is all she wrote for this boat. It's going to be one rocket, two rocket, and finish it off. And we see a couple of guys trying to swim away. Don't know if we're going to try and pick them up or not. 5 tickets left. This round is pretty well over. And then again, it's been over for a long time. So that's a round with a top-level scout helicopter pilot. It would take me months of playing to get to this level, so I don't have any advice on play for Captain Planets. But for everyone else who wants to be a pro scout pilot, I'd start by making sure you're running miniguns and definitely team up with a repair buddy or two. I'm not a huge fan of how effective 2 repairs on comms with a great pilot can be in the scout helicopter, unless of course I'm that pilot. My advice for a team facing a pilot like Captain Planets would be to focus on hitting the objectives, staying out of easy reach, and arming to the teeth with anti-air weapons. Planets made easy work of anybody who was out in the open and made sure that the MAA stayed out of the enemy's hands for good reason. Because a good MAA driver can make even the best scout heli crew very sad on open maps like Paracel. So that's it for this episode of Over Your Shoulder. If you'd like to be featured on an upcoming episode, contact me via my info in the details below. I generally follow non-top level players and try to give advice useful on their day-to-day play. If you're new around here, please check out my channel and consider subscribing. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, YouTube.